Hello everyone. So let's check out the second battlefield in the, I believe this is the 6th run of Forbidden Battleground. So this map has two really annoying units that I feel like need to be taken out. The first one is this Harpy that's to the left. So, the Forbidden Battleground has enemy types that are consistent across different battlegrounds. So this Harpy, like all the other Harpies, it can web you and it can also draw you in. Now, as a general rule, it seems to prefer using the web first before it uses draw in, but I don't know if that's 100%. At least in my experience, it almost always does the web first. So that makes things a little bit easier. The second annoying enemy is this stupid Night Elf. The Night Elf just ignores basically almost all the terrain on this map, and has a move again on a skill that has 0 cooldown. So it would just be able to hit you for free and run away, which would normally be very annoying. But since this is the Princess Challenge, I get to bring the God Queen Freya, who is just an amazing freebie tank. I don't even have her on her SP class. I try to avoid using the SPs here. I don't know if I should use SP Grenier when he comes out, because I don't think he's that big of an upgrade. But and it feels kind of appropriate to be using SP Grenier in these sort of like low budget guys or whatever. So I'm taking out the Harpy first, like I said, because I don't want it to draw me in and just make things a lot more difficult than they need to be. As you can see, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to run to the left side of this map and I'm going to play keep away from a lot of these enemies, because Freya's not going to be able to tank a whole host of them constantly. If you have Tiaras, then I think you probably would be able to tank all of them without much problem. Otherwise, I just run to the left and make sure I don't get too many of them hitting me on one turn. So for the Night Elf, as you can see, what I'm doing is that I'm just going to let it kill itself on Freya's barbs over time. And yeah, that's the easiest way to take care of her. Either using a tank that can just barb her to death, or if you have Landius or something, that might work. Christiane, if you use Christiane, then obviously Christiane can also just counter her. Sophia helps a lot here because Sophia does give the 30% defense buff. Okay, so the elf has killed herself for his barbs. So all there is left to do is to just pick off these enemies one by one. The only annoying thing about that is just that there is that treant that guards everybody. But thankfully, because Narm just Moby downs people, I don't have to worry about that too much. If I need to break guard, I can just use Narm to do that, and then someone else will handle it. You're going to see me play probably a little bit overly cautiously here, especially with Sonya. There's some cases where an enemy is going to be low on HP, and I don't run in to attack with Sonya, even though you would think I would be able to KO it, but I try not to take unnecessary risks, and that's just sort of the way you tend to play when you want to avoid using Clock of Forgiveness too often. Because Sonya has this problem where if she fails a kill, then she's just gonna stand there like an idiot and she's gonna die because she has 0 bulk. Otherwise, this lake is very useful. This lake and this mountain is a very useful tool for me to be able to just chip away at these enemies. You can see I slowly moved my units over it. Especially mostly Freya, Chris, and Sophia, since they don't have Terrain Master movement or anything like that. Narm could fly over it thanks to Sky Archers, and Sonya has ninjutsu. But thanks to that, this natural barrier can just allow me to funnel the enemies slowly to me one at a time. And of course I also have Ullr's Bow on Narm here, which allows her to safely just chip away at these 2 range enemies, including the assassin and the the fighting monk enemy. The fighting monk enemy is actually really dangerous because he can. Not only does he heal his entire party after attacking you, which is pretty annoying, but he has this thing where every time he attacks, he increases the amount of damage you take from him, and it just stacks forever. So it's not really. So it's basically like a soft. It's like a soft enrage. You can't engage with the fighting monk too often, otherwise your tank will eventually just get one shot. Alright. So I might look like I'm in a lot of danger here, but in fact only the fighting monk is in range right now. Because like I said, the lake and the mountain are being very useful natural barriers here. So it's just a matter of taking out these enemies one at a time, funneling them to this bridge. So you can see that the game had like a little pop-up that said struggle. That was the fighting monk debuffing anybody who attacks him with damage taken increase, but only when fighting the fighting monk. So it's best to deal with him using 3 range units like Narm or anybody else who can use Ullr's Bow. Fighting him in melee range, or I mean he has 1 to 2 range because he's a fighting monk, so he can ignore melee penalty. So whether you attack from 1 or 2 range, you're going to take full counter damage, and he hits really hard. And again, this skeleton that was in the previous map as well as infantry troops. Very annoyingly, he actually dispels my regeneration on Freya here. And that's one of the annoying parts of consistency with these maps too. Whether you're using regeneration from Sophia or if you're using Healing Light from Tiaris, there's going to be cases where the enemy uses Roar or whatever, and you're not going to be able to keep your healing. And that's another reason why even if you have a very good tank and a very good healer, sometimes you still might want to avoid just tanking all of them at once, because the spells can always screw you over. This is especially a case with Sophia now, because Sophia, a number of her buffs are just cannot be dispelled now. So even though I would say overall it's a positive, it just makes it so that when enemies try to dispel you with Roar and stuff, it makes it so that a lot of key buffs that you might want to keep have a higher chance of being dispelled now. Alright, nothing left to do except kill this treant here. But yeah, aside from the use of terrain, it's been a pretty straightforward, kite enemies around, tank and spank kind of fight. The next fight is going to be a little bit different. Well, it's still mostly the same. I'm still going to be using mostly the same strategy, same overall strategy. But it being Meteor Strike, I can't really sit around and tank stuff all the time. So it's going to be a little bit more tedious, as you'll see. Alright. So now we have the Meteor Strike challenge. I have kept Narm around. I'm bringing an SSR in Sherry. I don't think that's too unfair. Sherry is the freebie SSR, so not a problem. for most people, I feel like, and I'm not going to be abusing her act again a lot. The main reason I'm using Sherry is just because she can fly, and just so I can get over the mountain faster. I'm also bringing a collab unit. I've brought Altina purely because of how annoying this this night elf is. So Altina has one job here, and that's to silence the stupid night elf on the first turn. Once she's silenced, she can't use her attack skill anymore, at least for 2 turns anyway. But the attack skill is what enables her to move again. So since she is attacking without her attack skills, she will actually just get stuck in place after attacking. And I'm using Alfred as my tanky DPS here who can take the hit. And he also inflicts water on the Night Elf. Actually, that alone can be used to get the Night Elf stuck in place sometimes. But I also wanted to silence the Night Elf because Alfred is not quite tanky enough to survive a hit from her. I mean, it really depends. But with the Sansi Mercenaries, I think he can barely survive the Night Elf's attack skill. But it's still not something I want to regularly risk, because I need to take 2 hits from her. So like I did in the last setup, I killed the Harpy first, so it wouldn't annoy me with its stupid webs and drawing attacks. So as you can see, the Night Elf just runs wherever it wants to. I think that there are certain tiles that it doesn't. I think it ignores grass and forest. But there's really not that many water tiles and whatnot on this map, so there's only so many ways you can really trap her. So now that the silence is worn off, obviously I just want to kill the Night Elf before it starts annoying me anymore. So I have Ullr's Bow on both Oliver and Narm, although I am using Dragoon troops on Oliver, and that's purely because I want him to be able to do more damage to the infantry troops in front of the skeleton whenever I get around to fighting that. That does limit him to using 2 range attack if I want his troops to attack as well, but it's not that big a deal. Okay, so since both the most important threats are dead, as you'll see here, the rest of the map is just going to be me playing I'm Not Touching You with the enemies. And that is the use of the 2 Ullr's Bow users I have here. They're just going to be doing poke damage to the enemy constantly. And to that end, I've also brought Scepter of Divinity on Altina, so she can do her 3 range lightning as well. Alfred can sometimes do hit and run by using his 3C, but sometimes the way the game paths Alfred's walking is just really weird, and he needs to have movement left over if he wants to move again after attacking, and that's not always possible. So one thing I need to look out for is this the bandit, because he does have cold blood, so I don't want to accidentally stand in a spot where he's going to be able to cold blood and then reach me anyway. So as you can see, I'm still kind of being a cheap ass using using the terrain to my advantage. These are tiny lakes and not so much the mountains, but mostly the 2 legs are helping me keep these infantry move units at bay, while everybody else is almost everybody else is able to fly over them. Alfred can't fly, but he does have enhanced movement over water, so same difference here. So since I silenced the bandit, I don't have to worry too much about getting too close right now. So once again, I'm playing pretty conservatively. Yeah, I think some people would probably say at this point I should try to lock down the tank with Narm and then just kill the bandit using Sherry. But the stats are just way too high, and it's pretty easy to fail kills sometimes. Alright, Thief is out of the way. As you can see, Oliver with the Cap troops doing a lot of damage to these infantry units. I decided to go with Dragoons over Heaven's Guard on Oliver just because, you know, Heaven's Guard do way more damage, but they are a little bit less flexible with the mobility, and this fight is just all about me dancing around them all the time, so I didn't want to have to go through the headache of making sure I moved 3 every single time. Locking down Trans again. Same old, same old. Alright. I'm gonna take out the mage. Trans should be at low enough HP for me to finish him off. So pretty tedious to do a challenge with Meteor, but still possible. I do have Lisa unlocked, but I figured, I decided not to use her this time. I don't really feel like there was any real reason to bring a healer this time. Meteor has the advantage of having every unit being able to... Almost every unit can heal themselves in some way. So that's the second Battleground for this time. I'll see you guys in the next one.